Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coast News. And as always, we've got some amazing news from different theme parks, rides, attractions and events all over the world. So let's get straight into the news today. Our top story for tonight, World of Jumanji has finally opened at Chessington World of Adventures. And we've just been waiting for this for the past 2 years now. I can't believe it's been that long, 2 years since it was first revealed in the planning documents. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically, World of Jumanji is a brand new themed land located at Chessington World of Adventures. It opened on the 15th of May 2023, so this past Monday, and it consists of 3 brand new attractions, 2 supporting flat rides and 1 brand new world's first roller coaster. So the 2 supporting flat rides are Ostrich Stampede and Mamba Strike. Ostrich Stampede is like a SBF jumping frog type attraction, and Mamba Strike is a Miami dance attraction, both of which are from SBF Visa. And the main roller coaster is called Mandrill Mayhem, and it is a B&M wing coaster. It's B&M's first roller coaster in the UK since the Swarm in 2012. So about 11 years since they actually last built a roller coaster here. And this is very unique because it's actually B&M's first ever shuttle coaster, and Chessington's first ever roller coaster with an inversion, which they have never done before on a roller coaster. They have had like inversions before on like Nemesis Revenge, which was a horse top spin, but obviously that was on a flat ride that flipped itself upside down. This is actually their first physical inversion made of track on a roller coaster at Chessington, and obviously the first inversion anyway since Nemesis Revenge closed. And obviously it's a B&M launched shuttle wing coaster. So it's got 4 launches. I think it's got the most launches in the UK on a single roller coaster, which is pretty unique. It goes through the first launch backwards into a beyond vertical spike, back through the station into the second launch, into the 0G roll, which goes over the entrance portals of the land, which is a very great photo opportunity. Then it does an S-bend and into the third launch, into the centrepiece of the ride, which is the giant helix around the Jaguar statue. And then it reaches the top and then goes backwards through the 4th launch, back through the rest of the layout and into the station. And overall, the entire area itself is heavily themed. Obviously, it's themed to the Jumanji films franchise from 2017. And the amount of effort they've put into that land is just phenomenal. I've already seen videos of it, and the amount of small details that they've put in the land, but all the theming is just gorgeous. Something like this is like rarely seen in the UK. Although it does seem that theming like this is starting to become a lot more prominent in theme parks, and I cannot wait what the future holds for themed lands like this. In other news today, Alton Towers have confirmed that Nemesis Sub-Terra will officially reopen on the 27th of May 2023. And I know what you're thinking, this is literally Alton Towers' worst kept secret ever, but it's such good news for like Nemesis fans and Alton Towers enthusiasts. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically Nemesis Sub-Terra was a indoor drop tower type attraction. It's a bit complicated to explain. It was basically an indoor like walkthrough attraction with a drop tower inside that went underground. It was themed like a research facility from the organisation in the Nemesis storyline known as the Phalanx, which has appeared a lot more recently in like the marketing for the Nemesis retrack. Obviously, on the last episode of the Rebirth of Nemesis, I spoke a little bit about Sub-Terra and what they're doing with that and how they were doing up all the queue line and all refurbishing and everything. I spoke a little bit about that in that last episode of Rebirth of Nemesis, which came out just like this last Monday. But I said that they're going to announce something soon. I know it. They're going to announce something to do with Sub-Terra. And literally only a couple of days ago, they officially confirmed that it's reopening on the 27th of May. They're advertising it as a brand new attraction, despite the fact that it officially opened for the first time in 2012, as an expansion to Forbidden Valley, obviously. But it only lasted for a whopping 3 years of operation. It closed in August of 2015, and it's just been sat there abandoned since. Apart from in 2018 and 19's Scarefest, where it was used as a scare maze called Project 42. But ever since that ended, it's just been like just sat there abandoned. Apart from the last past year when they've been refurbishing all the facade of the building and the queue line, and they've been testing the fire alarms, there's been a lot of speculation that it's going to reopen. Especially since like when this Nemesis retrack marketing started with all like the Phalanx and them taking over the Forbidden Valley, literally rumours went rampant about Nemesis Sub-Terra reopening, and the activity around Sub-Terra only just increased. And they officially confirmed that it's going to reopen on 27th of May. That is such a fantastic news. I cannot wait to get into Sub-Terra for the first time ever, because obviously the first time I ever went to Alton Towers, Sub-Terra had already closed. And apparently a guest visited asked a staff member outside the attraction saying that some of the effects might have been toned down, so it's not as intense. I really hope that's not true. I hope it's just as intense as it when it was first operating. Although, bearing in mind, I think these are the same staff members who told basically me that they were taking down the television screens in the queue line when they were actually adding new ones in. So we don't really know. Like, take this with a pinch of salt. But either way, Nemesis Sub-Terra is making its grand return on the 27th of May. So next week, next Saturday, I'll actually be there the day after it opens, and I cannot wait to experience Sub-Terra for the first time. Also in the news today, Colossus at Thorpe Park has had its new track reinstalled. And this is pretty good news for Colossus at Thorpe Park, and I'm glad they're actually putting this track back in. But if you know what I'm talking about, Colossus is a roller coaster located at Thorpe Park in Surrey, in England. It first opened in 2002, and upon opening, it broke the world record for most inversions on a roller coaster. At the time, obviously, it has a total of 10 inversions, which at the time was obviously the most inversions on a single roller coaster. Obviously, since then, 11 years later, that record was obviously broken by the Smiler at Alton Towers with 14 inversions. And there was one clone of Colossus that was actually built in China, literally just called 10 Inversion Coaster. Over the years, the ride has literally been getting some quite negative reviews, saying it's quite rough. I mean, I've been on it myself, and when I went on it, it was just like, I mean, it depends where you sit, really. If you sit towards the front or even in like the middle-ish area, then it's a decent ride through. But if you sit towards the back, it is quite painful. So rattly at the back, honestly. But recently, Thorpe Park actually confirmed on their social medias that they're going to be, basically what Blackpool Pleasure Beat are doing with the big one, they're going to be retracking smaller sections of the ride over a course of a few seasons, so that it will be smoother, basically. And the first section of track they're going to retrack is I believe a part of the quadruple barrel roll towards the end of the ride. Now, at the start of the season, they had track being lifted into place on that part of that ride. However, for some reason they took it down after it was put in place. Now, we don't know why this happened, but rumour has it that section of track didn't fit in correctly with it didn't align properly with the rails and things like that, and basically how it needs to be installed. So since then they've just been changing it, modifying it to fit with the actual track section. And recently they've actually started installing that track back into place. And Thorpe Park have stated that Colossus is going to reopen soon, hopefully, within the next few weeks. Obviously, they've only just put this track into place. I'm pretty sure all the track is in place now. So they've got to do testing of the ride, which will take a number of weeks, and then obviously they can reopen it. Now, I'm glad that they're doing this with the ride, but it's really weird to think that, they're doing what Blackpool Pleasure Beat are doing with the big one, which was obviously their aerodynamics hypercoaster. That's only been open since 1994, though, and that's 30 years old next year, so I get why they're doing a retrack with that. Plus, it was quite a rough ride anyway. I think people might have said big one is rougher than Colossus, but Colossus only first opened 20 years ago. That's quite concerning, the fact that they're already retracking it, but either way, hopefully it shall benefit the ride over the coming years and give it a longer lifespan. And finally, in the news today, Batman Gotham City Escape has officially opened at Parque Warner Madrid. And this is obviously brilliant news for Parque Warner Madrid in Spain. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically it is a Batman Gotham City Escape is a brand new roller coaster located at Parque Warner Madrid in Spain. It is an Intamin Blitz coaster, and the ride layout itself looks mental, honestly. Obviously it's themed to the DC Comics character Batman, and literally the weird thing about this ride is that they started constructing it last year. I'm pretty sure they announced it, that they were getting a new coaster as part of the 20th anniversary of Parque Warner Madrid. But the weird thing is they literally just started building it casually at the time when they started building it, virtually no one were talking about it because no one really knew they were building this massive new Intamin Blitz coaster. And it was only like in the last few months that it started gaining hype, which is very weird because you'd think that that if they were building a brand new coaster like this, that the documents for it would be leaked like 10 years prior, and that there'll be all kinds of fuss about it online. But no, they just started building it casually on like a Sunday morning in July or something. I don't know, but it was weird. How they just started building it casually with no one knowing. Obviously, since they started building it a lot more, it got a lot more hype online, and you can expect that a lot of people were getting really excited about it. Some people even saying that it could be Europe's best roller coaster, and especially after recently when Two Tatis opened at Parc Asterix in France, which is another Intamin Blitz coaster. People saying that that might be dethroned as Europe's best coaster. And it obviously opened last week on Saturday, on the 13th of May. And I must say the layout itself looks quite weird for an Intamin Blitz coaster. It starts out with a launch into like a weird corkscrew. And then immediately after that it goes into the second launch, into the top hat. So we're already literally less than 10 seconds into the ride. And it's already into the second launch. Goes into the top hat, which is like... it twists about 180 degrees, so it goes pretty much above the track of the launch. Then it goes like into an airtime hill through the rest of the layout. Does quite a few airtime moments and a corkscrew, and it goes into the third launch, which then goes into a 0G stall, and after that it goes into a little like brake section, turntable, straight section of track, and it goes into a like near vertical spike, and it goes backwards, and I'm pretty sure after that it goes into like a turntable back into the station, rather than going into the traditional brakes, even though it's not actually a shuttle coaster. So it's quite a weird layout, but it looks absolutely fantastic, and we'll see over the next few weeks how people react to this brand new ride and see whether it is or not the Europe's best roller coaster. So that is it for this week's episode of Coaster News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to like and subscribe. And comment if you'd like to see the next video. Bye!